sometimes fire is your friend. Okay, today we're going to go over some of the stuff we're doing on Mike Fleming's 68 Mustang Coupe. The car came in initially for relatively small body repair, and the more we got into it, the more we realized that just repairing small stuff is not the way to go on this car. It really needs to be taken care of. Started out as a very simple job. He only wanted just a little bit done on the car, and it kind of snowballed. We kept him apprised of the situation the whole time, and it ended up going from doing a little bit of work on the car to we're going to go right through it and just do a whole restoration. Heavily rusted car. We're doing floors, front aprons, all new front suspension. It's getting a new, bigger motor. It was an inline 6-cylinder. We're going with a V8 now. What we're doing today is removing front suspension, get that out of the way because it is a 6-cylinder automatic car. We're going to change it to 5-lug V8 type suspension. New front aprons, all new front suspension. The aprons, you can see a couple of different spots here. It's just too rusty to go ahead and try and repair it. It's going to be cheaper to just replace the entire apron. Rust down on the frame rails where the bumpers mount. So all of this is going to be replaced from the firewall forward. A lot of times we clean, sandblast, powder coat, paint, what have you, a lot of the front suspension parts, but because it's a 68 Mustang, parts are readily available for this car and real easy to come by. So we're just going to replace everything. It makes for a much neater job and saves Mike a lot of money in labor. Everything will be documented, measuring an X across the car, take endless amounts of pictures so we have everything. So when it goes to time to reassemble the car, it will go pretty easy. We're not going to bore you with every little thing we do, but we'll take pictures as we go through and just keep you posted on some of the things we're doing on this car. The car's got new doors on it. We put new doors. Originally it came in for this quarter panel. When we got to doing the quarter panel, everything that it touched was also rusty. So we did the quarter panel, the inner quarter panel, the trunk floor drops, new trunk lid, new rear panel, stripped all the paint off of this car, which had more paint on it than most antique homes. Of course, we pulled the interior and so forth out of the car, and this is what we found inside. The rear floors have a lot of surface rust, which the time to treat that is excessive. It can be done, and it can be done successfully, but there's no need when parts are available for this car. As you can see, the floors are very, very bad in this car. Torque boxes, inner and outer frames, floor supports, seat supports, everything in this car is bad. We began initially, we were going to replace floor pans. By the time we got it apart and looked at it, realized that just putting a complete floor in this car is going to be easier, stronger, and it's going to be a lot more cost effective for the owner of the car to just do a complete floor pan. When we get it, get the nose off it and get the floor pan in it, the car will go on a rotisserie so we can turn it upside down and make sure everything underneath the car looks nice. It'll be blasted, coated, and ready for us to continue on with our body work. We're going to go see the floor pan. This is the pan that we're going to put in the car. As you can see, it's stamped exactly like it would have been from the factory. Doing something like this is real daunting for a lot of people, but we want to show you pretty much step by step on this one how we're going to do it, because it's really not that difficult to do. It's something that once you get past the initial fear of it, you're going to be fine. You can do your own car in your own garage at home. This is going to be kind of a fun project. Normally I'm not a big mainstream car guy. Mustang is a pretty mainstream car, but the owner, real nice guy, he understands what it takes to get this done, and he's willing to do it. So we're going to go ahead and build him a real nice car. He's local, so the car will show up everywhere, cruise nights, shows, local shows, things like that. And we're going to do the car the way he wants it done, correctly.
That one had Loctite on it. Oh, got to get the big one.
This is the part where a lot of swearing usually goes on, but we're trying to cut that out. Just know that we're doing it in our heads. Well, Bobby's got all the front suspension out of the car. Cost him a set of sleeves. They fell right off. All the front suspension's out, steering column's out, brake system's out. Got a few more things to do in here, and then this is clean and ready to come apart. We're gonna leave this on until we put the floor in, and then we're gonna pull these front aprons basically from the firewall forward off. You can buy these in all separate pieces, which we initially did, and then looking at it and paying attention a little bit more, I was able to find out. Go COVID, COVID. We got entire aprons. There is a VIN stamped right here, which matches the car. And because this is a 6-cylinder car, I'm really not going to freak out about it. If this was a 428 Super Cobra Jet car that needed to be matching numbers and, you know, Marty report and all of the above, I would take this out and put it into the new apron. So we got numbers matching. But on this car, it really doesn't matter. This is a fun car. That's about it. We'll get it stripped down to where we need to get stripped down, and then we're going to sandblast all in here and start over. I'm kind of torn. These cars are generally matte black, what they call 60-degree black inside the engine compartment, and I just think it'd look kind of neat to do it in Mopar style and have this all painted the color of the car. But we'll see. I know that some of you might want to. We're not Mustang purists. We're not purists on any car, really, but we can be. But we'll leave it up to the customer. It's whatever he wants. But as you can see, this car is an actual restoration, whereas the Corvair, we did just an exceptional paint job on it. We blew the car apart, did a real nice paint job. This car is an actual restoration. We're completely restoring this car to factory conditions, but better.
It's normal. I mean, it is what it is.
See, that's the thing to us. There's a lot of stuff that we do that it's just normal in the course every day. But if somebody wants to do this at home, which you can do, there's nothing super special going on here that we're doing. We may use some equipment that you don't have at home. You may have to use a hammer versus an air hammer. You may not have torches, so you're going to run into some issues that you can't solve as a backyard garage guy that you need help with, but one of your friends has got a set of torches. Call them. Wiring on this car had been, people put stereos in, they put gauges in, they've done all kinds of different things. So the wiring is just decrepit, the insulation is dry and cracking. We're going with an American Auto Wire upgrade system in this car. So we can take every bit of wiring that's in this car and throw it away. The kit that we got from American Auto Wire comes with your bulkhead connectors, up-to-date AWG fuses, versus the glass 6 fuses that this car had in it when it was built. Now we're putting a 21 circuit wiring harness in it, so we'll be able to run the vintage air that we're going to have, electric fans, the stereo system, so on and so forth, without overloading any single circuit. We're using American Auto Wire. I've used them in the past. I'm real happy with all their wiring harness. Each wire, it comes with extra links so you can trim it down to size, but each wire, every so often down the wire, is printed with exactly what it goes to. It's very, very simple to rewire a car. And that's our new compressor. The American Auto Wire systems come complete. The connectors that you see here, it all has factory style connectors on it. Everything's going to be labeled to tell us exactly where it needs to go. Okay, this is the American Auto Wire system that we bought for this car. There's a picture of it. It's for specifically 467 to 68 Mustangs. Absolutely everything you need to throw away all the garbage that's been in that car for X amount of years. It tells you what you got to do, explicit directions, all your connectors, all your relays, all your flashers. It comes, new headlight switch. That's your engine harness kit complete. And it's a very, very comprehensive kit. There's a lot of extra wire on them that you can cut to length depending on where you're going to put. There are certain things you can put in certain places. And this right here is kind of the heart of it. I'm not going to open the bag, but it comes with an all-new fuse block and bulkhead connector, so it's painfully simple. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't get any stickers. I like stickers. They didn't send me any stickers, but oh well, we'll have to deal with not having stickers. We do have a cool banner though. And just so you know, we don't have any sponsorships with anybody. I just choose to use American Auto Wire because I've used them in the past. I like them, never had a problem with them. If they want to sponsor us, and there's our web address and whatnot, you can get it all. Just send us a check. You can make it out to cash, or however you want to make it out, it'd be fine.
This is actually part of the frame rail. Went right here. It rusted plumb off the car and just fell down inside the rail. All kind of rust and debris down in here. It's just full of it. All the way up here, that's actual metal that has rusted off the car. So we'll be putting new rails in too. And a lot of people would just fix what you can see, not repair that because you can't see it when everything's together. But then you got a weak spot right there that's never going to hold up to what it should be, you know what I'm saying? This side's not as bad as that side. It's still at least connected, but you can see how it's not supposed to have a hole there.
Ziploc bags of various different sizes can be your friend because we put everything in bags, label it with a Sharpie or some sort of silver marker, or blue one, or whichever. It depends on what color you want to use. It doesn't really matter.
Actually, I lost the blue one.
Yeah, they have green Sharpies too, so you could use green if you want to. But we do this for all parts. Whether say we're taking the doors apart, the parts are going to go in a bag, right door, left door. We're not just going to put them in a bag that says door, because a lot of times there can be a nut or a bolt that is a 1/4 inch longer than another one. And if you put that in the wrong space after you've painted the car, and that 1/4 inch is between sheet metal that you've painted and the inside of something, You tighten it down, boom, you're redoing that panel again. So you got to keep track of everything. All your front end bolts that hold your fenders on, and we just, again, being a 68 Mustang, there's an entire kit that covers the front end that has all these U-bolts in it. It just, it used to be we had to either throw these in a tumbler or sandblast all of them and paint them so they wouldn't rust again, but you just buy the whole kit that's E-coated, it's new nuts, new bolts, you're good to go.
Comes in with handy little bags that tell you where everything goes.
Yeah, it tells you where everything goes. They're all numbered. It says fender, says radiator support. It's there's still a lot of knowledge that we've gained doing this, but it has become a lot easier because a lot of things are available. So it just, you got to have the intestinal fortitude to want to tear a car down to this level and start with it, and that might be Ed McMahon. Hang on. It's turning the bushing, it's not turning the bolt.
We'll soak it down with some bolt buster, let it sit for a little while, and try again.
There's 3/4 of the rear end. Now we got one bolt that refuses to move, so
Refuses to do anything.
refuses to move. We're going to soak that one down, let it sit for a minute, and then we'll have this rear end out. The hardest thing about dealing with the rear end is the fact that it's been in the car for 50 years, or close to 50 years. The bolts that go through the spring shackles have a rubber bushing with a metal sleeve. The metal bolt goes through that. 50 years later, it rots itself together, basically, and it doesn't come out. Some Chevrolets and most Mopars have front spring hangers that unbolt from the car so you can deal with all this on a bench, and you don't have to be laying under the car here doing it, but this one is not going to be that way.
All that, and we didn't do nothing.
Nothing.
Half-inch impact.
We're going on an hour just working on this bolt with a 1/2-inch impact and a Ungdaus air hammer. And the problem with getting I could simply cut it off right there and cut the head off, but the head is inside the frame. So if I cut this off, it's not going to help us at all. Other than maybe putting a punch in there instead of using this round tip. But whatever we're doing is going to cause us problems. So
we'll probably have to take the sawzall and go through here and cut through the bushing and through the bolt on this side and this side and drop the rear end down to get the bolt out.
Right. But the only problem with that is
we need saw blades.
We need some saw blades. Yeah. That's right. That may be the only way to get it out of there.
Yeah. Without tearing something up.
Yeah, we don't want to tear anything else up.
We're supposed to fix stuff, not tear stuff up.
Exactly.
Even though sometimes we tear stuff up.
We do tear stuff. It's still fun, even though it hurts. I could be, going to some meaningless job that I don't care about and my back hurts. Well, now I'm going to a job that I really like and my back hurts. So.
Well, the bolt is stuck in there. It's been in there since 1968, so it's just fused itself together. Sometimes it happens. You just can't never tell what bolt it's going to be. You know what I mean?
These are the things that you're going to run into when you're doing a car for yourself or whether you're doing it for somebody else. You may plan on it taking X amount of time to do it, and then you run into something like this, and you got an hour or a couple hours
on one bolt,
just trying to get it out without doing any collateral damage to the car that we'd have to turn around and fix anyway. So, and Louise, she doesn't seem to mind much. So.
She's no help, though.
She's no help. That's Louise. We've got our two shop cats, Thelma and Louise, that kind of oversee everything, and She's basically holding the weight down on this car so it doesn't just lift off the jack stands. There you go. That's one of the things that you run into. If you think something's going to take you an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours, whatever, all of a sudden it's 6 hours. So what my plan was for today was front suspension and cut the floor out. As you can see, we opted to take the rear suspension out as well and not cut the floor out yet. But we'll get on that tomorrow. Hey, just to recap on where we left off yesterday. We're having trouble with one of the spring perch bolts. We managed to get that out today. We finally decided we're going to have to just cut it with Sawzall and get rid of it. And I'll show you exactly what we did. This eyelet here on the spring goes in the spring hanger in the front of the rear end of the Mustang. This spring I have down here, just for an example, is a Chrysler spring, where that perch unbolts, so you don't have to deal with it on the car. You can get it out in the open and work with it. This we had to do laying on our backs. We started off by just breaking off the end of the bolt so we could try and get in there with a punch, and it still wasn't moving. So 3 hacksaw blades later and a kryptonite bolt, we cut through it and got it out of there. So that's one of the problems you run into, is stuff you gotta improvise or do it a different way. It's just gonna take a little bit more time. I like the design of the Chrysler springs. I know a lot of GM springs are like that as well. It's a little more user friendly, but that's the complete rear end assembly out of our 68 Mustang. We're gonna change it. It'll have new springs, and we're going to go with a 9-inch rear instead of this tiny little 6-cylinder rear end. Today's project is what we were going to do yesterday, and we had not run into this. We're going to begin to rough cut this floor out. By rough cutting it, it gives us access inside the car and under some of the floor supports that have to stay there, so we don't cut through those and create more work for ourselves. So that's what we're going to do, get out our handy little plasma cutter and have at it. We're about to use a plasma cutter. This is, it's the same brightness level as welding, so you're going to want to wear safety glasses when you do this. Trust me, it hurts. Basically what we're going to do is just kind of fillet this floor. We're going to get rid of some of the bad stuff so we can get in the car to do the final work along the rockers where the floor meets up to it. It's not a super duper plasma cutter. We've never had call for anything bigger than that. It works fine. You can pick it up to Harbor Freight, wherever, not a big deal. Or you can get it from China and buy extra expendables, extra tips and porcelain and everything that goes with it, because you'll screw it up, because I have to. So wear dark glasses, Weldon type glasses, and here we go. You can do the same thing with a grinding wheel or Sawzall or whatever you want to use. Just this doesn't take any gas or anything, so it doesn't chew up saw blades or cut off wheels, so we're just going to go with this.
Tattoo removals.
Yeah. Plasma cutters actually cut better if it's clean metal. You can take the time to grind along where you're gonna make your cuts and things like that, but the only time it really saves, it really doesn't, because now you got to grind it first. So it's right. Just 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as my dad used to always say. So we're about to get a chunk of this out here shortly, so bear with us. little bit of a section right here with a double thickness that I can't get to without taking the seat platform a little further out. A little more cutting. Always use a specialty jigsaw blades. They're the best. And they're hot.
What I'm doing now is drilling out spot welds where we cut the pan out. We just rough cut it to get it out of the way. And I'm gonna go back and drill out or grind down all the spot welds. As you can see over here. Grind those down to get the extra little piece off at the end. Now, a lot of people go in with one of these. They're kind of reckless and tear up stuff, and I don't want to go back and fix a bunch of stuff that's not broken. Sometimes the blade will cut what, instead of cutting what you want it to cut, it'll cut what you don't want it to cut.
It'll get in behind it, get stuck.
Yeah. And then you're stuck fixing a bunch of stuff you didn't have to fix.
These are getting replaced. Those are your front floor supports that tie into the front aprons. Those are getting replaced. But we have to get to this part in here. These are the torque boxes. This is what actually gives the car some strength, because it's not a full frame car, it's a unibody car. So these torque boxes add to the strength and kind of tie things in, and they are rotted to death. It's going good with no major drawbacks. We haven't, other than that bolt in the rear axle that really kind of screwed us up and took the wind out of our sails. But it's just a bolt. I mean, it's no big deal. But nothing unexpected in this car so far. I expected it to be a piece of and it was correct. I was correct. But it's going to be a nice car when it's done. That's all the rusty metal from the floors. It's just junk. A lot of people will try and patch this up, and you end up doing more work than what you have to, and just cut it out and just start over again. And then this bucket, this is all the rust that shook out of the car as we were cutting it up, and Bobby gets paid by the bucket, so he's he's made a little bit of money there. I didn't do much today. Bobby did most of it. I was in the office doing office stuff, but we're moving right along. We should have the floor all cleaned out by tomorrow. Taking our time with it, making sure it comes out right. We still got torque boxes, floor supports, front aprons, radiator support, all that's being replaced. So it's going to be an ongoing project you'll get to see a lot of. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Jimmy, do me a favor.
No.
Just for the show effect, can you hit that hammer
Sure.
a couple more times?
It's not going to do anything because I'm not done cutting.
Yeah, just the sound of it.
Looks awesome.
It's a good shot. Thank you.